This video is the first in a series that is generally designed to assist users with the Oregon Government Ethics Commission's new electronic filing system through recorded navigation of the live website. As a whole, these videos will focus on the different aspects of utilizing this new system. This video in particular is designed to guide lobbyists and their clients or employers through account setup, registration, and termination processes in this new online system. So in this video, I'll specifically be covering how to create an account on the system, both as a lobbyist and a client, how lobbyists will register to lobby for individual clients or employers, how either the lobbyist or client can terminate a lobbyist-client relationship in the system, and then I'll also briefly explain some of the other account features. So let's go ahead and get started on the lobbyist side of things first, and then I'll show you the client role. Regardless of whether you're a lobbyist registering for the very first time or a seasoned lobbyist renewing registration, you'll be doing this first part in exactly the same manner. So go to the Ethics Commission's website at www.oregon.gov/OGEC. And once you're there, you can look at the tabs on the far left side of the screen, scroll all the way to the bottom, click on Electronic Filing System, and that should take you to the portal where you can view or search public records, sign in as a registered user, or register as a new user, which, because we're registering as lobbyists for first-time users of the online system, that's what we're going to do. So clicking on Register as a new user took us to the role selection page. Before I go any further, I just wanted to quickly note that if you're one of the few people who plays multiple roles in this system, you can use the same login for all of them once you have one account. So for example, if you're a lobbyist and you're also required to file an SEI, you can do both of those things on the same account under the same username. You just have to switch roles. The only exception is for people who are clients or employers of lobbyists. If you play that role, it's the only thing you'll be allowed to do under the username. You'll have to maintain two separate accounts if you need to play more than one. I'll be showing you some of the lobbyist client side in a few minutes, but for now let's continue as the lobbyist. Once you click on the lobbyist role, you have an option to enter a registration code, but normally lobbyists don't get one, so unless you've made special arrangements with commission staff, just leave it blank and click Continue Registration. And now the lobbyist is going to create an account. Remember that this is just for first-time users, so if you already have an account, please just log in. Again, this is only if you haven't yet created an account. It only needs to be done once, and then once it is, you can just log in and do everything that you need to do. You'll enter a username and password of your choice. The password does have to be between 8 and 20 characters long, with one upper, one lowercase letter, one digit, one special character. As far as the security questions go, you'll notice that there's no drop down, so this could be a good opportunity to choose questions that you might actually remember the answers to. Remember that everything about the system is case sensitive, and the personal profile information is going to be the lobbyist's last name, first name, email, phone number, mailing address, general contact information. Please note that you will be able to update the personal contact information when it needs to be, and that the only bit of this contact information that's going to be visible by members of the public is the city and state listed. The rest is going to be kept private for agency use only. As far as the alternate contact information section, this is optional, but it really is a good idea to fill out if you have somebody who assists you in filing your reports or remembering deadlines. That person would be contacted via email with the same communications. Once your profile information is filled out, we'll just click Continue. And the next part asks for any members of the Oregon Legislative Assembly who are compensated by the lobbyist. If that question applies, we click Add, then we enter the last name and first name of the legislative member. Then we'll click Save. If you have more than one to add, you can add as many as you need. You can edit, delete an entry. Once you've added all the relevant information, we're going to click Continue. And this next page asks for the lobbyist clients. Unlike the last question, you do have to have at least one entry in here because you do have to be lobbying on behalf of someone. So we're going to add a client or an employer. And if the business already has an account, you'll see the name pop up in the lookup box below. You see that it's in the lookup box. And if you click on it, you see that it populates the name and email fields. And we want to do that because we want to avoid having duplicative listings in the system, which may cause confusion. Once you click Add, you can see that the business is registered. You can also edit, delete, or add another entry, but we'll go ahead and click Continue, which takes you to a summary and confirmation page to review the information that you've put in. The account holder is the only person who should electronically sign and check the confirm box, so make sure you put your full name exactly as you did when creating your profile, otherwise you get an error. We're going to click submit. And now you get a confirmation number that you can print or screenshot if you want. You also get the same confirmation in your account homepage and in your email inbox. I'm not going to show you the email right now, but let's go check out some of the features on the account homepage. So your account opens on the Reports tab where you can view your past quarterly expenditure reports once they've been filed. We could click Add to file a new report when the time comes, and we'll be posting another video on the website for that process. Or we can go to Registrations and see that we are partly registered to lobby for Save the Planet. See, there's the confirmation number. And I say partly because notice that the status on this says that registration is still pending. That's because the client hasn't yet accepted us as its lobbyist, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute when we're done with the account features. Under the Documents tab, you can see documents that you've uploaded as addendums to your expenditure reports. Under Communications, you've got copies of all the things the Commission wishes to communicate with you. We've already got one. It's your registration confirmation. You can see here it's showing when it was sent by whom. You can view it by clicking this little flag here on the right. But if we could actually go back to registrations for a minute, there were a few things that I forgot to go over. So now that you have that account under registrations here, you can actually add additional clients if you lobby on behalf of more than one. We just click here on Add. So let's do that. And you'll see as we type in Willamette Valley Trade Association that it's not already in the database, unlike the last one. So this time we're going to add it as a new business since we didn't see it in the lookup box. So we'll put in the business name and an email. And even though the system will allow you to continue without listing an email address, you really do want to do that because the client is required to confirm you as a lobbyist before your registration can be complete, and this is all done via email. Then we're prompted for another electronic signature. Again, full name, confirm, save, and then you can see that it's in here with its own confirmation number, the new entry. Status is still pending. If you look all the way to the right column under Terminate, clicking X is really all you have to do to terminate a client relationship, and you can do this at any time. Once you terminate, of course, your status is going to be updated to terminate. But if you want to look at a few more of the features, you can go to the upper right hand corner in the Welcome drop down. Clicking on Account Home basically refreshes this page. You can edit either profile. This is your main account profile. Once you edit, you click Save and Return, of course. You can also edit your lobbyist profile or any other of the roles that you hold. And as we'd already discussed, because multiple roles are permitted, we're also able to switch roles from this tab. For example, if we also need to file an SEI, you could just go here and click on that role. But for now, I'm just going to log out so that I can now demonstrate how the client or employer side of the registration process works. For the most part, you're going to see that the system looks really similar on both ends. The process itself is just a little bit different. So now that we're in the client's email, we can see here that Save the Planet, the first client we just registered to lobby for, has received an invitation to confirm the lobbyist registration. So there are two separate links to choose from. One would be to accept the lobbyist request, and the other would be to decline the lobbyist. So if the client doesn't have any idea who the person is trying to register, or for whatever reason doesn't want this person lobbying on its behalf, the client can click Decline Link, which, just like everything else in the system, prompts a confirmation e-signature, but this time it's going to be the signature of the client's representative. And now you're going to see that registration has been declined. And remember that this will also be updated to say declined rather than pending on the Lobbyist Registrations tab on the account homepage. So now that we've seen how a client can decline, we're now going to look at how the client can accept a registration. And remember that the lobbyists in the beginning of the video submitted registrations for two clients, Save the Planet, the first client who just declined registration. So now I'm going to use the second client, the Willamette Valley Trade Association, to show you how a client would accept registration. The Willamette Valley Trade Association has received the same email that the other client did, and this time the client knows who's registering, wants this person to lobby on its behalf. So we click the link to accept, which takes you to this next page where the client really should read all of this information and is also given a second chance to decline, but because we're going to accept this time, we're going to go ahead and click Continue. And then, just like the lobbyist had to do, for any client that doesn't yet have its own account set up, it will be prompted to do so at this point, because again, you do have to have an account in order to use the system. So the client, just like a lobbyist, if it already has an account, go ahead and log in. Otherwise, we are creating an account for a client or employer of a lobbyist. I'm not going to spend much time discussing this because you'll notice as I'm going through that it is exactly like the web page that we went over a moment ago when creating the lobbyist's account. You do a username, the password requirements are the same. The specifications for the security questions are also the same. And the personal profile information listed for the client can really be that of anyone, but because clients are mostly businesses, organizations, you probably do want to make sure that you list information for a specific individual there who has a primary responsibility on lobbying related matters. Like with lobbyists too, though, you can also list a secondary contact person here under alternate contact information, which is optional. But once the basic profile information is filled out, just as you saw for the lobbyist, it's next going to ask some client or employer specific questions, first regarding the representative's job title, which is going to be that of the primary person whose profile information was filled out on the previous page. Let's say it's the director of the Willamette Valley Trade Association, so we put that there. Then business type, let's say it's a nonprofit, so we're going to put that in there. Business category, there's a drop down for you to choose a public, non-state government agency, a state agency if that's what it is, but because this nonprofit fits neither of those categories, we're going to click non-government. And then in the next section, subjects of legislative interest, the client can list anything relevant as a legislative interest here, but don't try to leave it blank or the system isn't going to allow you to continue. So you've got to put at least one thing. And just as with the lobbyist, if the client employs any legislators, they would then list them by name in this section. But let's say we have none this time, so we're just going to go ahead and click continue. And then lastly, the client representative, just like we did with the lobbyist, you're going to read through and verify all the information and then put the electronic signature of the primary contact person in there. Remember again to spell it correctly, click confirm and submit. And now you're going to get confirmation that registration is complete. So the lobbyist now is registered, the client has an account set up, so we're going to continue to reports. To take a quick look at the client's account homepage, which you'll notice is exactly the same under the client view as it was under the lobbyist view. So I'm not going to bother going over all of this again in the same detail, just make sure that you've watched that part of the video. I will get in there just to point out a few things that I didn't cover earlier. Again, like the lobbyist, when the client looks at registrations, we do see past and current activity. Anytime you see one of these question mark icons, you should be able to click on it and see additional help text. And you can also see that much like the lobbyist, the client also has a confirmation number here. The lobbyist's status has been updated to active because the client did accept the registration. And the client, just like the lobbyist, can also just click this little X over here on the right to terminate a relationship. Another thing that I didn't show you on the lobbyist's account, but that you can still do on both accounts, is to click on any of these names, either a lobbyist or a client listed, and you'll be able to see the contact information as well as past expenditure reports filed. And then I'll just quickly demonstrate that the Documents tab and the Communications tab here are still exactly the same as with the lobbyist. If you look in the upper right hand corner, that tab is almost exactly the same as with the lobbyist account. You can go to your account home or edit your profile information. The only option the client doesn't have is the option to switch roles, and remember I explained at the beginning that this is because the lobbyist client is allowed only one role. Again, if a contact person for a client needs to fill more than one role, then you would have to maintain two accounts with two different usernames, but all the other information, including email, could be the same on both accounts. And that's it. Again, I've just shown you how to create accounts on the new electronic filing system as both a lobbyist and a client, as well as some of the key features on those accounts. But before I let you go, there were a few things that I wanted to make sure you remember. 1. Account setup and lobbyist registration are not the same thing. As a first-time user of the online system, you'll be required to create an account, as I just showed in the video, in order to complete any other business within the system, such as filing an expenditure report, managing your lobbyist-client relationships, or renewing a lobbyist registration. You only need to create your account one time, and then once it's done, you can just log in to handle other business. Although lobbyist registration is included as part of the first-time user account setup, remember that lobbyist registrations do automatically expire at the end of every odd-numbered year, regardless of when you registered within the 2-year period. Once you have an online account set up, you'll be able to just log in and renew your registrations when they're up to expire. Also, remember that lobbyists can assume multiple roles within the same account. So a lobbyist could use one account to file an SEI or manage a legal expense trust fund just by switching roles. But those who utilize the lobbyist client role will not be permitted to perform functions in other roles. They would have to create an additional separate account in order to do that. Lastly, this instructional film is not intended to replace any specific guidance from the Ethics Commission staff. If you experience difficulty or have specific questions about using the online system, please feel free to contact our office using the contact information provided on the screen. Otherwise, if you'd like assistance with expenditure report filing or other aspects of the online filing system, please keep a lookout for other short videos and instructions posted on the Oregon Government Ethics Commission's website. Thank you.